Good evening. A very big thank you to you for joining us this evening. My name is Kofi Opon Ochiri.
And I am Chowdi Deku. Now, before we begin, let's give you a little overview about what OTC 2019 is all about. The Offshore Technology Conference, which happens to be the full name for OTC, showcases leading-edge technology for offshore drilling, exploration, production, and environmental protection. OTC is the world's foremost event for the development of offshore resources. The conference this year is celebrating its 50th anniversary, its golden anniversary, meaning it's 50 years. It attracted attendees and exhibiting companies from around the globe. Now, the location was at the NRG Park in Houston, Texas, and it began from the 6th to the 9th of May. The attendees included engineers, technicians, executives, operators, scientists, and managers from more than 1,000 countries and all fields in the offshore energy sector.
So this year, Ghana had a very great representation, and the delegation from Ghana was led by the Honorable Minister for Energy in the person of John Peter Amewu. He led the delegation himself, and then the Deputy Minister for Energy in charge of Petroleum, Mohammed Amin Adam. They together led the delegation, and Parliament also sent a delegation there. We had the Petroleum Commission, Ghana Gas, and a host of others also joining the event this year. So on the 6th of May, Ghana did the grand opening of her own pavilion for the second time at OTC. Let's have a look at that.
Help him. Okay. I must have this in the name of the Almighty God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Cut this ribbon. Yeah. Open. Oh, beautiful.
I'm to Houston, Texas.
Thank you.
This is a great pattern that we all wear, used to wear, and I want you to enjoy it while you're here.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So what you just watched was the ribbon cutting ceremony, and of course DNT was there. We had a few interviews with a couple of dignitaries who were present at the occasion. Let's take a look at that.
The OTC this year has been quite instrumental. It's the 50th anniversary, and we have loads and loads of people that came in this year. All the honorable ministers and everyone that actually came in were quite informative. The part that actually interests me the most was the part that the 25% local content in most of the companies that actually will be developing in Ghana is what actually, that's where my interest is. My personal goals and objective as to setting up something in Ghana has to do in the separation units in gases. So that's what I'm also looking at.
The OTC this year being the 60th or 50th anniversary.
Right,
50th anniversary has they put up an excellent program. The Ghanaian representation was also excellent.
Yes.
They did a good job. The ministers and the panel were very, very informative.
Yes.
They gave us good information about the OTC and what Ghana is doing in terms of gas and oil and everything.
Yeah.
So it was a great experience.
We are Batch Freight and Logistics Limited. That means that we are into freight and we are into logistics. Basically, we can lift anything from that size to anything as big as an oil well equipment. So we carry out custom clearance, ship agency, haulage, and what have you, any logistics need that you may have. Yes, we do it.
Okay, so what do you guys see yourself in the next 5 years?
Well, at the moment, about 70% of our revenue is from the oil and gas industry, and we continue to see that would be the case for us in the next 5 years because of everything that is going on in Ghana right now.
Awesome.
With the oil and gas industry.
INEMA is an indigenous Ghanaian company. We are ISO certified, OSHA certified. We offer asset integrity solutions.
Okay.
So we have the capacity to help you keep your assets running with the use of composite, cold work, where you don't need to shut down your operations or your assets to cut and replace, and carry out a hot work application. We also have solutions for coding, repairs, maintenance. So when you think of anywhere where you're having problems with corrosion, abrasion, erosion, We've got products that you can use to protect, repair, and improve your assets. So our purpose is to make sure that you are up and running, reducing downtime, basically.
How long have you been in business so far?
INEMA was incorporated 10 years ago.
So after that, we had to go around and speak to a few of the Ghanaian people who are there to showcase what they have. We spoke to a few of the organizations. We spoke to the CEO of Cosmos Energy. We spoke to the representative of Talu Ghana in the person of Kweku Awotri, and a host of others, including that of Ghana Gas and then Ghana Petroleum Commission.
As you know, we cannot rewrite history. Cosmos put us on the map in 2007. And then since then, we've been working very closely with Talu to run the Jubilee Field. And we've also tried to do more. When we talk about local content, we wanted to really step out of our space to do more for the teaming youth. And that's why we created Cosmos Innovation Center, which is really churning up entrepreneurs. So we created about 11 companies, all young entrepreneurs in the space of agriculture, which has nothing to do with oil, but again, to help develop people for the country and then take us to the next level.
At least a 20-year minimum life of field, going to produce oil for the next 20 years without further discoveries, but of course, we think we'll be discovering more. We employ about 400 people between the two vessels, working with a Japanese contractor called Modec, and then Talu itself has about 400 people in Accra, which do all the administrative work, the financials, the working with the government, stuff like that.
I think there are two key uses of gas, as I mentioned. The first is for power generation, and the second for non-power uses, such as in the fertilizer industry, methanol, even for vehicular transport, like in the form of CNG. So when you look in the next 10, 15 years, we're going to be seeing gas actually playing a very pivotal role in the petroleum or energy space. Now, with the environmentalists also keen on reducing atmospheric emissions, oil and certainly coal will be playing a less important role. So again, in the next 10, 15 years, you see that gas will be the name of the game in the energy sector. And you'll be talking more about the gas and oil industry instead of the oil and gas industry.
What we've done is that to provide a logistics base to support the industry. The first thing that we did was to ensure that Talu, the oil major or the anchor company of Ghana's oil industry, has a dedicated berth to support its operations offshore. So if you come to the port right now, we have a 100-meter dedicated berth for Talu. Aside that, we have given about 78,000 square meters of space for some of the logistics support companies, to companies like GE, companies like Belmet 7, companies like Intertech. We have Batch Fridge, who have dedicated space in the port to provide support to the industry. Batch Fridge, for instance, has about 4,000 square meters at the main quay of the port that is supporting the ENI offshore operations in the port.
Now I think we've taken you through Monday, Tuesday, and now we're going to go to Wednesday. On Wednesday from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. they had a private breakfast with bidders, and then 11 they had their arrival at the NRG Arena to prepare for the Ghana Day event, which was on the theme Building Local Capability in Ghana's Oil and Gas Sector. The guest speaker was the Honorable Minister for Energy, John Peter Amewu. He gave an amazing speech, so let's take a look at that.
Some of the agencies under the Ministry of Energy, such as the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, the Ghana Oil Company, the Ghana Gas Company, the Tema Oil Refinery, the Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation Company, the Ghana Cylinder Manufacturing Company, might require partnership to execute some of this project. You are encouraged to see the various chief executives as seated here today. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a wish of the government of the Republic of Ghana that within the next decade, There will be a pictorial of Ghanaian companies owning majority shares in oil and gas concessions and actively taking part in the downstream businesses as well. The leadership of Ghana will also be fulfilled if there are several Ghanaians working in international oil companies and occupying key positions.
So after the Ghana Day event on Wednesday, the whole program, the Offshore Technology Conference 2019, came to an end Thursday. We're on the 9th of May. And then a small get-together, a networking event was put together for the delegation from Ghana who visited Houston for that very event. And the organization Houston Ghana Chamber of Commerce put together this very event so that you could say a very good and a wonderful goodbye to the Ghanaian delegation, including the exhibitors and then investors all together for a networking event. So what we just had is the networking event put together by the Houston Ghana Chamber of Commerce. And now, Troudy, what do you make of the whole event, OTC 29? How do you see the whole event?
Well, I think it was well put together, and the fact that Ghana was given a forefront, I'm proud to be a Ghanaian right now, and I'm hoping that next year we'll be at OTC 2020.
For sure, we could be at OTC 2020 for sure, and then bring you everything, all the coverage.
Opala was amazing. She was
and
amazing.
Then, Jermaine.
Daddy himself.
Yeah, the boss himself was there too.
He was super as well.
Yeah. So now let's look at the NRG Park. It's quite a wonderful place. We've been indoors all through the event, looking at what is happening inside. Now let's look at the event and at the time that people were packing out of the event after everything ended on the 9th of May.
Beautiful place right there. Now, DNT was honored to have an exclusive interview with the Minister of Energy, John Peter Amewu. So let's take a look at that.
One of the difficulties that we face currently as a country is the low recovery rate that we have. Our current producing field, Jubilee, is doing less than 25% in terms of the recovery. If we are able to increase your recovery rate, what it means is that you are already increasing your production. That's a policy direction to increase the production. You might not necessarily have to find new reserves. But if you have an enhanced oil recovery mechanism that can also increase the existing oil institute and bring it forward, then it simply means that you are also increasing your production. So we look at companies that have high technology that can bring out more oil from the ground.
Very good, very good. At the Ghana Day yesterday, I've been here in Houston for quite a while, and I've seen OTC events. The room was very full. Were you surprised?
Well, it was very interesting, and again, you see, this is not the first time. We were in South Africa quite recently, and our show becomes a show of the day. The attention now is on Ghana, so it was not for me surprising at all. Ghana has been showcased in terms of the exploration activity, and it's also because of the type of leadership that we have. For the first time in the history of this country, we have attracted major international players within the industry. We've seen companies like ExxonMobil, we have seen companies like Sinod, we've seen big companies that are interested in working in Ghanaian waters. So the room being full yesterday, of course, has just drawn my attention back to the confidence. Where people will have a confidence in government is because of the leadership. And so our leadership is really showing that this country is ready for business. So I wasn't too much surprised, but of course, again, it was a joy for me to see such an interest in our country, Ghana.
Very good. You showcase your talents, yours personally, and also that of your CEOs. How do you see them, or shall I say, how do you think they represented themselves yesterday?
Well, the chief executive officers of the energy sector, most of the agencies that were present there yesterday have really demonstrated that they're on top of their jobs. They brought out what challenges they have, and they're able to explain how they will be able to address the challenges. The issue of gold, for instance, was well noted out, how they managed to transform what gold was to where it is. Tor, of course, was able to explain clearly the challenges in the environment and how they are beginning to look for more partnership. This industry, as you always say, is an industry that you cannot do it alone. And so they begin to show how they want partners to merge up with them so that they can transform the industry. The regulator, which is an MPA, was explicit in trying to showcase the level of understanding it has in the industry and what controls that it can do. The gas, the Ghana gas, Asante, was on top of his job. He's been a gas man, so it was not surprising at all that he was able to explain himself to the whole world what Ghana is in terms of gas, arrangement and what we need to do with our gas arrangement. So most of the CEOs that were present, I think they've done beyond my expectations.
Good. There were two things that I personally took note of. One, Ghana gas CEO, Dr. Asante, he said something interesting. He said, now the industry is known as oil and gas, but he sees a future where it's going to be referred to as gas and oil
industry. I think it's precisely right. I mean, it's interesting. I also like that remark because you see, we are moving gradually away from the conventional fuel to gas. Gas is the player going forward. Number one, because it's cheap. Number two, it's environmental friendly in nature. And if you look at the rate at which exploration activities are going, more gases are being discovered across the globe. Zimbabwe, Mozambique, all of them are coming out with gas. Ghana itself, there's a lot more gas discovery. ENI has just announced yesterday of more discoveries in terms of gas. We already have potential gas. So the monetization and the commercialization of gas, of course, is going to drive the industry. Don't forget, those days we used to using coal. And then we moved from coal, from the Stone Age to coal, from coal to oil. So gradually we will begin to get out of oil and gas will become the driving power in the industry. So it is perfectly right by saying we're going to move from gas to oil.
Yeah. And then another pleasing development. Egbert Faber, the Petroleum Commission, made an announcement that was very warm, that ACCA, one of the new kids on the block, they just walked in, and one of the things that they've committed to is that they will develop 10 SMEs along with it. That's a very bold program for a new company coming into the industry to target such a number. How did that happen?
Yeah, it's all because of the innovative approach of our regulator. Egbert is one of the best regulators I've ever come across, especially when you talk about the upstream petroleum regulation. He knows the stuff, he knows how to combine the regulatory mechanisms with government interest vis-a-vis that of the IOCs. So this is the agenda of accelerated capacity building, making sure that Ghanaians are also brought to certain standard in terms of playing in the industry. I think this is well recognized. And I think it's in that direction that is able to have a concluding discussions with ECA about how to build these 10 individuals. And I think it's up to the job, and we expect that success comes out of the day.
Very good. I've been paying attention to the energy industry, and for the first time I can say that I've seen a much more sharper focus on local content compliance. Is it something that we can expect moving forward in the future?
Precisely. This is a government policy. Our current president believes in Ghanaian content. Right. He doesn't even want to say the word local. He said it should be Ghanaian content and Ghanaian participation. Right. And so that agenda is what we're looking at. You see, because natural resources accordance with our constitution, it's owned by the Ghanaian, held in trust by the president, for the benefits of everybody. And so for the people to benefit, they must be seen to be playing some role. Okay, if they cannot get in directly in terms of extraction out there, which is of course very capital intensive, there must be an alternative for them to feel that they are part of the process. Don't forget the agenda of nationalization cuts across countries of national resources as a result of the owners think that they be left out in the extraction process. So immediately you begin to bring in the owners of the resources along the value chain of the extraction process. That ownership, it's held, and they believe that they belong to, the processes. And if they feel that they are part of the processes and they own the resources, of course, it makes the environment more friendly for the eyewitnesses and also for the owners of the resources.
But that law has been in the books before this current administration. But what I'm saying is I'm seeing the sharper focus. I mean, is it because personally I can tell situations where the compliance was a bit lacking.
Yeah.
Because I think the law gives you the energy minister to waive where companies come short.
Yeah.
But it seemed to be a sharper focus. Is there a specific difference that you want to speak to?
Well, the sharper focus, as you rightly said, is right. Number one is because of insistence on making sure that the writing it's been done. The international companies and some of the service companies can always have their way if we are not up and making sure that the writing is done in terms of bringing up participants. What we have done again, which is quite different, is to make sure that we have a very elaborate program with them, look at their work program and make sure there's an input of the group of the local content and how that is being carried out. So there's a high level of understanding in the back room before they are brought to the path. So I think that level of discussion is also what is triggering some sort of an increase in the local participation that we are seeing. More discussions before finalizations of any work plan. Yeah.
Okay, very good. When I'm walking around and when I speak to people, historically, not just now, people have always questioned, why does Ghana bring such a large delegation to the OTC?
It's interesting. It's not Ghana bringing large delegations, but it's the interest of the private sector in Ghana. It is because the private sector in the oil and gas industry is really growing. You can see the number of private sector participation. Government delegation, of course, is just you, the top chief executives, and some of the few people from the ministry. So increase in private sector participation in such a conference really demonstrate the growth, in the private sector.
So this is where we come to the end of the 4-day event, which took place in Houston, Texas, the OTC, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I want to say a very big thank you to all partners who helped Ghana to host her own pavilion for the second time at OTC.
A big thank you to our CEO, Jermaine Nkrumah, for giving us the exclusive coverage, and also to Paula Smith. You were amazing.
Yeah, she did very well, and a very big thank you to my boss right here with me, Trotty. She was behind closed doors, making sure that everything comes to you, so that when I come, I'll not be goofing on air, So she types everything for me. She said, Kofi, go through what you're going to be presenting this evening, so that when you go there, you're not going to. That's what you've been doing, right?
And he was amazing, taking you throughout the whole weekend. We hope you enjoyed the coverage of OTC. See you again at OTC.
Wait. We are not the only people who are amazing, but our viewers are very much amazing. If you are not there, we are not there. We are not going to be able to do anything for you.
And we had an amazing team behind everything that you saw here. Sami. To our director, Sami, Felix, to MTN.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, to Ike, the editor,
exactly.
Everybody who was behind this. Oh, I'm forgetting one person.
The GM too.
No, I'm forgetting one person. Yes, Mr. Yaosechi, and then Titus as well.
Titus, and then Evelyn and Hamdia, all the newsroom people. We say a very big thank you to all of you, and then to. I think we say goodbye.
So we're going to be at OTC 2020, so see you there.
And get ready to go with us, because we can't go and leave you behind. We are going together with you. Thank you very much for joining us all through the event. Good evening. Enjoy the rest of your weekend with DNT Possibilities.